away from. Now, if I need to have you expose the skin in that area during this assessment, would that be okay with you?
That's perfectly all right.
Let me go ahead and have you remove your shirt.
Okay.
I'm going to check the kidney. All right. And then let me go ahead and have you take a seat here.
All right, I'm going to begin with the seated general scan. Checking the SI joint, springing into the joint in a posterior to anterior and medial to lateral direction. Checking for onward joint play. As I spring in, feel good joint play. Alright, as I get here into the lumbars, I feel some restriction. I'd say that's about the L4, L5 area. I verify that through contacting or bisecting the iliac crest and straight across. That's the L4, L5. All right. Let me have you go ahead and cross your arms. All right. I'm going to bring the patient into flexion. All right. And as I brought the patient into flexion, I did not feel that joint space open up. So I'm now going to check rotation and lateral bending. Alright, so I'm just going to set up right off of the just lateral to the spinous processes. Alright, and now I'm going to rotate the patient, and as I rotate the patient, I'm going to spring into that joint space in a lateral to medial direction. This side. Alright, now I'm going to check for lateral bending. Same thing as I laterally bend the patient. I'm going to spring into that joint space in a lateral to medial direction. Alright. Okay, I noticed as I rotated the patient to the left, it was restricted, and sorry. Alright, so I'll begin with the general CT scan. I'm going to contact or check SI joints. Alright, I'm going to contact the PSIS. I'm going to spring into it in a medial to lateral direction, in a posterior and anterior direction. Feel good joint play. Feel good joint play on the left side. Okay, right here in the lumbars I feel some restriction. Okay. So as I bisect the iliac crest, looks L4, probably like an L4, L5 joint space where I feel restriction. Let me go ahead and have you cross your arms. Okay, I'm going to bring the patient into flexion. And as I flex the patient forward, I do not feel that joint space open up. So I'm going to check rotation and lateral bending. Okay, so I'm going to set up just off of the spinous, just to the side of the spinous process. And I'm going to rotate the patient. And as I rotate the patient, I'm going to spring in a lateral to medial direction. this side. Alright, and now I'm going to check lateral bending. So the same thing as I laterally bend the patient, I'm going to spring in a lateral to medial direction. Alright, so as I laterally bend the patient to the left, and as I rotate him to the right, that's where I feel the restrictions. I don't feel that joint space open up. So that listing would be a PRI. Okay. Alright. Now we gotta do thoracics. Alright, I've assessed the lumbars. Now I need to continue to the thoracics. Alright. Yeah, so right in here I feel some restriction. Alright, so let's see I'll go to the base of the scapula and bisect it. Puts us at T7, where I felt that restriction would be about T6, T7 space. So what I'm going to have the patient do is cross his arms. Okay, we're going to check for flexion. Alright, and so as the patient flexes forward, I do not feel that joint space open up, so I'm going to check for rotation and lateral bending. Alright, so I'm going to set up just off of the spinous process, just laterally. Okay. I'm going to rotate the patient in a lateral to, as I rotate the patient, I'm going to spring into that joint in a lateral to medial direction. I'm going to come to this side. And now I'm going to check for lateral bending. And as I laterally bend the patient, I'm going to spring in a lateral to medial direction. Check the left side. Alright, so as I rotate the patient to the left and as I laterally bend the patient to the left, that's where I feel restriction. That would make that a PLS, but I need to make sure that the associated rib pairs are not involved with that restriction. So I'll go back to, let me go ahead and have you uncross your arms. Alright, get to the base of the scapula, bisect that. That puts us at T7. Alright, so I'm going to come back up 2 interspinous spaces. Alright, and I'm going to laterally come out about 2 inches. I have now contacted the rib. Alright, first thing I'm going to do is check for rib elevation. So if I can have the patient cross his arms, we come around to this side. Alright, to check elevation of the rib, I'm going to be on the inferior aspect of that rib. Okay, and I'm going to flex the patient forward, rotate him, and slightly laterally bend him, and I feel the rib elevate. Now I need to check for depression of the rib. So now I'm on the superior aspect of that rib. I'm going to bring them into extension, rotation, and slight lateral bending, and I feel that rib depress. Alright, now I need to check the other side. Alright, go ahead and uncross your arms. The base of the scapula again. puts me at T7, 2 interspinal spaces. Out to the right about 2 inches, I've contacted the rib. Again, I'm checking for elevation. And if I can maybe cross your arms. Okay, I'm going to flex the patient, rotate, and slightly lateral bend them, and I feel that rib elevate. Now I'm checking for depression. Extend them, rotate them, and laterally bend them, and I feel that rib depress. Alright, so the ribs feel fine, so they're not part of that restriction. Now I need to continue with this assessment of the cervical spine. So let me go ahead and come in. I feel a little restriction right here. Alright, that seems to be in the C3, C4 spinal space here. Alright, so I'm going to contact there. Alright, I'm now going to have the patient flex his head forward. Okay, and as I have him flex his head forward, I do not feel that joint space open up. Alright, let me go ahead and have you sit on this chair over here, or this seat. Alright, so I need to check for rotation and lateral bending. Alright, so first thing that I'm going to do is check for the rotation, and I'm just on the contacted the articular pillars about C3, C4. Okay. Rotate to the left, and rotate to the right. Okay, and as I rotate them to the right, I feel a little bit of restriction. Right now I'm going to check for the lateral bending. Alright, so same thing, I'm going to come there on the articular pillars. Bring his head over with this other hand, and I'm going to come in from a lateral to medial direction. Same thing on this side. Okay, so I notice as I laterally brought his head to the left, there was restriction. And as I rotated him to the right, felt restriction, and that would make it a PRI. That's it. Thank you.